Senegal, Guinea-Conakry and Bissau, southern Mauritania, Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast. The empire was founded in 1235 AD by a Manding prince Sundiata Keita, also known as the Lion King. As the king of Manding, Sundiata did a great work in unifying all the small kingdoms into one big empire and defended the empire from many foreign aggressions, especially those coming from North Africa. However, it was during the reign of Mansa Musa Keita that Mali was known all over the world when news of its abundant riches reached far and beyond. Mansa Musa, a nephew of Sundiata Keita, ruled Mali from 1312 to 1337. He became king after King Abakari Keita abdicated from his throne in order to explore the world with more than 2,000 ships. He never returned back. In fact, many believe that the King Abakari Keita and his crew landed in Americas years before Columbus. Like most Malinke rulers, Mansa Musa was a Muslim, and during his reign, Musa made one of the most famous journeys in history by traveling with more than 60,000 entourage to Mecca. The Mali Empire was at the time known to be a center of both trade and education. It is in this empire that the first ever known human rights charters, the Mende Charter, also known as the Kurukan Fuga, was written. The Great Mali Empire declined as a result of many contributing factors, such as internal disputes over succession and external influences. Around the late 1800s, Mali fell under the control of the French, and by 1893, French control of the region became stronger to the extent that they renamed the territory French Sudan as part of the Federation of French West Africa. However, the French political domination was interrupted by the new generation of Malians, and by 1960, Mali became independent and Modibo Keita became its first president. Keita was a fierce anti-colonial figure, took an immediate, bold move by removing Mali from the French community in 1962. Like many other anti-colonial rulers such as Sékou Touré, Nkrumah, Lumumba, and many others, Keita too supported a total liberation of the African continent, something that the French didn't like. In November 1968, Lieutenant Moussa Traoré, who just died in September 2020, overthrew the Modibo Keita's regime and established a 14-member military committee for national liberation with Traoré as president. Traoré ruled Mali from 1968 to March 1991, until he was forcefully removed through public demonstrations against his regime. Similar to the current political situation in Mali, the 1991 public unrest prompted Colonel Amadou Toumani Touré to overthrow the government and arrested the president. Toumi formed a civilian-led transitional committee for the salvation of the people. The committee ushered a referendum and election in 1992, but Colonel Touré did not run in the presidential election. Toumani Touré did the noble thing by handing over power to Alpha Omar Konaré, who won the 1992 presidential election. Konaré appointed Touré to the rank of general, but 10 years later, after leaving the army, Touré contested for presidency and won in 2002. He got re-elected again in 2007, but his supposed to be final term in office was interrupted by a military coup that forced him into exile. It was then when now disposed President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita was elected in 2013 presidential election and was re-elected in 2017 until he was disposed. Let's talk about Mali-France relationship. This is despite the fact that it is endowed with bauxite, copper, diamonds, gold, gypsum, iron ore, kaolin, limestone, lithium, magnesium, phosphates, salt, silver, uranium and zinc, and ample hydropower. France by its side, Mali remains heavily dependent on foreign aid. Mali is still faced with Islamic military insurgents, and France, who has made it their God-given responsibility to fight terrorism in the region, has established several military bases in Mali. However, the French military intervention has raised various questions. In Mali, French investments in the mining sector huge, not to mention the French companies that worked in various fields either inside Mali and neighboring states. Mali is one of the biggest gold producers in Africa after South Africa, and is highly criticized for ripping off Mali's resources with the aid of corrupt politicians to the detriment of its impoverished population. In 2010, an Italian company discovered petroleum, uranium and phosphate in northern Mali, where France claimed to be fighting an Islamic insurgency. This latest discovery, according to the analyst, is behind French attempts to find a place for herself on the African coast. On January 14, 2013, the French Foreign Minister, Laurent Fabius, said the main interests of France are at stake. Thus, France had to take quick action to intervene in Mali. France has also been using Mali as a base to protect its energy supply interests in the northern part of the country and in Niger. International energy estimations indicate that the North Mali Desert and east of Niger occupy the third rank as of processing the uranium reserves worldwide, and France has been without compunction shucking it off. 75% of France's needs for electricity comes from nuclear energy. Independent Africa has a long-standing history of coups. Sometimes, these unprecedented actions are influenced by external forces, especially by former colonial authorities, as a means of influencing the domestic politics in the continent, and France in Mali has been accused of continuously destabilizing embattled nations for its economic interest. Not only is France indicted in the assassination of multiple African leaders, but it is also equally notorious for pretending to condemn coups only to work with rebels who depose democratically elected leaders. This has recently anonymously fueled anti-France sentiments across the continent, with many asking, why can France not leave Africa?